Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Friday the 25th of April 2025. In today's Mill news, we shall start off with the wise words of Alex Neil on a number of subjects, and they come mostly from the southernnews.co.uk, which of course publishes on a Thursday. If you see it in the shops, pick up a copy, or I believe you can subscribe online. So Alex Neil on the anticipation in the Millwall camp ahead of crucial Swansea City clash and why his side can only gain from this point onwards. Yeah, big game tomorrow, no? Alex Neil said he has not detected any nerves among his players ahead of Millwall's vital clash with Swansea City at the Den tomorrow. With 2 games to go, the Lions are currently 3 points off 6th place Coventry City, who travel to Luton Town for their early kick-off. Millwall have a significantly worse goal difference than the Sky Blues and would likely need to finish above them in points to reach the playoffs. When asked if he senses any extra nerves or tension heading into the match, Neil said, "I don't think I felt any of that really. I think more anticipation than anything else. Obviously, we understand that it's an important game and we're coming to sort of the final crescendo, if you like, of the season, where everything's going to come together and it's going to boil out one way or another. We do understand that we're still chasing a team, so we're still the chasing team. So, the other teams, they've got it in their hands. And our job is to make sure that if there are any slip-ups or if there is an opportunity, that we try and seize upon it. And the only way that we can do that is by taking care of our own business. And I think that our task really is really straightforward like that. I say to the lads regularly, we don't currently have anything. If the season ended right now, we finish where we finish and we're not in the playoff spots. So there should be no apprehension, no fear, and nothing for us to be scared of. We can only gain from this point onwards. Indeed, Schrodinger's playoffs. We are not in the playoffs. If we win, we might get in the playoffs. But at the moment, we are not in the playoffs. So, yeah. What are you afraid of? Not being in the playoffs? Well, we ain't in the playoffs right now. Are you afraid right now? Well, no. There you go. So, moving on to this. From, again, the Southern News. They sort of sucked the ball into the net. Millwall boss and wider Den could be the difference maker in Swansea City clash and what he's never seen from a fan base before. So, very limited tickets available. I don't think it's sold out just yet. I think we may be into... We're certainly less than 500. They announced that in the afternoon. But they didn't announce it's sold out. But if you haven't got your ticket yet, you might have to pause this video and go online and buy a ticket and then come back and watch the rest of the video and thank me in the comments, because if you don't, you won't be getting a ticket tomorrow, most likely. So Alex Neil said the Den will be vital during Millwall's clash with Swansea City on Saturday and spoke about why he thinks the Lions fan base are so unique. Millwall hosts the Swans tomorrow in a must-win game for Neil's side. The Lions are currently 3 points off 6th place Coventry City, with 2 games remaining in the season and have a significantly worse goal difference than the Sky Blues. Swansea arrive in red-hot form, having won their last 5 matches, and Neil hopes the raucous home support can give his side the edge. Well, it's going to be vital, Neil said. Purely down to the fact that, like any game, you're never going to have it all your own way. There's going to be lows in the game, and there's going to be times when, Swansea might be on top, and they're going to maybe get an opportunity here and there. And we're going to need to rally, and we're going to have to fight. And if things haven't gone our way, we need to make sure that we don't get frustrated. We spoke at length that, maybe going to places like Sheffield United after they lost a couple and we go ahead, and you can sense the frustration, and I know that's difficult being a fan base and watching your team not particularly do as well as you would like them to do. All I would ask is, stick with us, stick with the players, because I think we've shown that we'll keep going to the end, and I think that the fans have certainly got a part to play in that. It's quite enclosed and condensed, and the fans are right on top of you. And more importantly, the fans are very vocal. They're very vocal, whether it be singing or whether it be backing the team, whether it be a decision. I made the comment the other day. I've never seen a fan base get so excited by Coops kicking the ball into the stand in the second half. Every challenge, every pressure that you put on the opposition, the fans get right behind it. And from that point of view, I think what it does do is it creates an element of doubt. It creates an element of apprehension in the opponent. And it allows our boys to understand that, that's basically the signal of a good work matters here. So when you're working and you're grafting and they get right behind that, all those bits help. And I think that when you have a really good fan base, they sort of suck the ball into the net. And that's obviously what we'll be looking to try and do throughout the game. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, I was quite surprised. The thing is, right, when you watch some of these games um, online, of the away games, obviously, I'm talking about, it's clear that Sky Sports pump noise on into the game, the crowd noise. The crowd noise is fake. Because a lot of these teams, even like they got a lot of fans in the stands, they're just sitting there, they're not doing anything. They're only cheering when their team scores, and they don't even go that crazy. Like you said, Mill fans cheering, kicking the ball out into Rosette. So yeah, mate, like that's what we do, and that's what we do. So yeah. Now Alex Neil on Mill goalkeeper George Evans' first two starts. This is from the southernnews.co.uk. I wonder, did they ask him if they're trying to get a lone goalkeeper, or is no one mentioning that? Alex Neil said goalkeeper George Evans views starting between the sticks for Mill as a great opportunity after injuries to Lucas Jensen and Liam Roberts thrust the academy shotstopper into first team action. Evans had only started one senior game while on loan at a National League side, Sutton United. Not technically not true. The thing is, they brought in this competition. I think it was in they call it the National League Cup. It's like the Football League Trophy, but for National League teams, and they've invited Premier League under-21 teams in for some bizarre reason. But obviously, it's derided. It's a derided competition. It's a new competition. It's a derided competition. It hasn't really been supported by people basically following it and taking note of the stats. So they don't really. It's kind of a weird one in a way. Like if you have a competition, a cup competition, where there are age-restricted teams from the Premier League invited, is that really a competition? Like, is that fair competition? I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, he apparently played 3 games because I saw that was on Sutton United's own website. But I think they're talking about one league game in the National League. So before a season ending, the Achilles injury to Jensen meant he was called upon to start in the Lions' 4-1 loss to Blackburn Rovers last Friday, April the 18th. The 19-year-old kept his place for Monday's 3-1 win over Norwich City and has embraced the opportunity. George is quite a relaxed character, Neil said. He's very much viewed it as a great opportunity rather than being put under pressure, if you like. I think that our outlook and our expectancy from him is that he's a good young goalkeeper and go and do the best that you can. And it really is as simple as that. There's no more pressure than that being put on him. He knows what his job is. He can kick the ball well. He's a good shot stopper. He understands that he needs to communicate with his back line and try and be dominant behind him, so that he's vocal and that they can hear him. And I thought in the second half, the other day was the most relaxed and the more experienced I've seen him in respect to just dealing with scenarios. And that's only going to improve as time goes on. Yes, now I've been very critical. Not critical, like, it's clear. Obviously, it's a good story. The under 19 the junior goalkeeper comes in and is saves the day. In fact, but when you look at the numbers, he's only made 1 save. He's conceded 4 goals against Blackburn Rovers. He's conceded 1 against Norwich City, and they only had 1 shot on target. And that's we kept them down to 4 shots in the whole game. 1 of them was on target, and that was partly because Tanganga came back into the defence and helped to marshal the defence, and Cranmer was playing it right back. But he's not a championship goalkeeper just yet. Maybe in 3 seasons' time, but right now not really. And there has been some rumours that Liam Roberts may come back tomorrow. He may be back in for the game. Now I don't know where those rumours came from. Maybe he's started training again. Has he been seen at the training ground? Is he actually training on the pitch? Obviously, he might go to the training ground to do rehab and medical stuff. But again. No, they haven't asked them about emergency goalkeepers on loan, which is a thing that we can do. The only thing we can't do is loan them from the Premier League, and that's lifted from this, which is the EFL handbook for the 24-25 season. It's got all the rules and regulations in it, and Regulation 58 regards emergency goalkeeper loans. So if all, I mentioned this the other day, I'll just quickly summarise it. If all your professional goalkeepers at a club are unavailable as a result of medical staff being suspended, called up for international duty, or personal reasons such as there's family circumstances which they will take on a case-by-case basis, and they say a professional goalkeeper is a goalkeeper, excluding any goalkeeper registered as a non-contract player who has been named in the starting 11 on 5 or more occasions. So this is another thing going forward, looking ahead to the future next season if the same thing happens. So what are we on now? We're on 2. So George Evans has played 2 games. If he plays tomorrow, that's 3 games. If he plays the last game of the season, that's 4 games. If he goes out on loan anywhere to a professional league, let's say League 2, and plays a game, he's played 5 games. If he comes back and we have goalkeepers injured, he has to start. He can't, that's the rules that go on. Now, this is the thing. We can still sign a lone goalkeeper. So I don't know. The reason I'm holding out hope that maybe the reason why they haven't is they think there might be a chance that Liam Roberts comes back and they can decide in the morning. Maybe they lined up a deal, because here's the thing that you can see highlighted here, 58.2.2. In respect of any other fixture, this is the club must supply the league written evidence to demonstrate the circumstances, together with the appropriate forms for the registration of the emergency loan goalkeeper, and the league having confirmed that the circumstances conform to the provisions of the relegation. 12 noon on the day of a match, or at least 3 hours before the match, whichever is earlier. So right up until 12 noon, we can send in the forms to the FA. Not the FA, is it the FA? Or the EFL. And get the deal done. But here's the kicker. Emergency goalkeepers, where does it say it? 58.4. Any goalkeeper registered under the provisions of this regulation must be included in the starting 11 and must start the match. So if Liam Roberts is good enough to come back, he starts. We can't loan in an emergency goalkeeper and then have Liam Roberts on the bench, because we wouldn't be allowed the emergency goalkeeper loan. That's not how it works. So what do? Do you bring George Evans back and then put Liam Roberts on the bench? That don't make no sense. Do you start with Liam Roberts, hope that he can get through the game, and then if he breaks down, you've got George Evans on the bench? But then, that burns up one of your substitutions. So what do? I don't know. Or do they just tell Liam Roberts, it's clearly not happening tomorrow. We're going to get the emergency goalkeeper that they have, bring them in. I don't know if they've even done that. They might have someone lined up. Now, there is a thing. Clubs should be aware that the Premier League does not permit Premier League clubs to send goalkeepers on 7-day emergency loans into the FL, which is fantastic, because they have about 4 or 5 goalkeepers for each team. So that's fantastic, isn't it? Thank you, Premier League. Thank you so much for ruining our game. You sign all of the players, you steal all of our young players, you force the FA Cup replays to be scrapped, and then you don't even help us when we're in trouble. So, fantastic. So, moving on. Back to Alex Neil. Again, from the southernnews.co.uk. Obviously, as I mentioned, they publish on Thursday, so there's a lot to talk about. Mill boss says Swansea City's recent great form built on defensive excellence. Alex Neil praised Swansea City for their defensive prowess ahead of their trip to the Den tomorrow, a must-win game for Mill if they hope to keep their playoff hopes alive. They face a Swan side that has won their last 5 games in a row, notably beating Sunderland 1-0 at the stadium like 2 weeks ago. Swansea have conceded just 1 goal in that stretch, scoring 8. As with every game in the Championship, Neil expects it to be a tough contest. I don't think you get any games in the Championship any easy. They missed a word there. I think they're supposed to. I don't think you get any easy games in the Championship. That's what makes it a unique league. It doesn't matter when you play somebody or where you play them. or where you are on the table, or where they are on the table, what the form looks like. I think every single individual game is a fight, it's a battle, and it's going to be difficult to pick up the points. I think we all understand that. They've been in great form, defensively without the ball. They've probably been as good as I've seen at Swansea team, and that's been the sort of foundation from which they've been built on. And certainly in recent weeks, from our perspective, we know what they're coming up against, and we know where the strengths are, and we know what we need to do to try and do to win the game. So it seems that they have a plan. Do they have a cunning plan, Mr. Blackadder? I don't know. We'll see what they do. Now, we're still on Alex Neil. We're still on the Southern News. So Mill head coach addresses whether early kickoffs give playoff rivals an advantage. Okay. Alex Neil would prefer Mill to kick off at the same time as their playoff rivals. However, their crucial clash with Swansea City at the Den this weekend. The Lions are currently 3 points off the top 6 with 2 games remaining, and kick off at 3 p.m. on Saturday, 2.5 hours earlier. Luton Town host sixth-place Coventry City, and a win for the Sky Blues would all but end Mill's playoff hopes. Now, here's the funny thing. What happened with the TV selection? Obviously, if you've watched the channel, you know about this. They went on to a 4-week rolling selection process, where 4 weeks into the future, week by week, they would announce which games that match day had been moved to early kickoff for the Sky Sports Plus and other television. So, the funny thing, this was decided 4 weeks ago. Now, 4 weeks ago, after the Leeds defeat, we were down and out. Like we were discarded like yesterday's papers. No one gave us a chance. So they weren't selecting us for TV anymore, which I think, ironically, actually helped us to win the games that we needed to win, which has now got us into playoff contention. Because before, like, if we can look at it in the end of the season, our form in those early kickoffs was really bad. Really bad. I think we've won 2 or 3 out of maybe like 12 or so. It's really bad. So, ironically, that may have helped us, that they selected other teams instead of us. But let's see what they say. While the Lions would mathematically still have a chance of cracking the top 6, it would have to involve at least a 7-goal swing on the final day of the season, and an uphill battle given Mills travel to second place Burnley. Charlton Fleck boss Nathan Jones recently argued that teams that play in the early kickoff have an advantage, a point Neil does not disagree with. I think Nathan Jones got a relevant argument there. I think that for the excitement of the games, the excitement of what the outcomes look like, the last thing you want to do is go into a game where you're disheartened because the team around you has won. And I don't think that should really be the case, certainly at this stage of the season. There's so much riding on it. It's all right early on in the season because you're not going to win or lose playoff positions or win the league or get relegated at that point. There's so many games left. At this stage of the season, you would like to think that they would make a sort of conscious effort to get the games aligned with each other so they're going on at the same time, and you don't even have that benefit of lack of benefit if the results don't go your way. When asked if he was bothered that Coventry kick off early on Saturday, Neil said, "Oh no, not if they lose." Yeah. Which, may be a possibility. It could also be a possibility that the game may be postponed or moved to a different date. Breaking news, there was a fire at Kenilworth Road today. I don't think it was that bad. I think it may have even been like behind the alley, between the ground and the houses there. I'm not too sure. It was a video on X. It hasn't made the mainstream news, so I don't think it's that bad. The fire brigade were there dealing with it, so it depends what kind of damage that's done. It would be interesting, but we'll see. But here's the thing, if Coventry do win, we're chasing 2 places technically. It's not the end of the world if they do win. Now, moving on to this, South London Press. I think it's a kind of long-form player interview that they regularly do on Fridays. Unfortunately, it seems to be a bit of a curse that the players that they interview on the Friday end up having a really bad game on the Saturday. But obviously Billy Mitchell's already injured, so I don't think that's going to happen this time. So, yeah, this is from londonnewsonline.co.uk. Millwall midfielder Billy Mitchell on playing with more risk and avoiding the noise of social media. Billy Mitchell has added more risk to his game in a bid to take his Millwall displays to the next level. The 24-year-old who came through the Lions youth ranks has made 166 first-team appearances in a defensive midfield role. But one of the criticisms aimed at Mitchell by the fan base is his passing tends to be sideways rather than penetrative. Yet recently he's won plaudits for more expansive play, including a line-splitting pass to Casper Denor or Josh Coburn's winning goal at Sheffield United earlier this month. If I'm honest, I probably would have agreed with some of the fans' comments. Mitchell told the South London Press, the hidden component to that is sometimes confidence. Where I've been out for such a long time, you don't see things as quickly and you might be physically fit, but the mind needs to work at the right pace in the Championship. It's a very frantic and fast-paced game. You need to land on the ball and see those passes when you're coming back from a long time out. You want to keep the ball, and sometimes that is the first pass you see. It isn't always the most penetrating pass, but the longer the play, the better positions I get into, the more time I buy myself, and that allows you that extra split second to get your head up and look forward. Also, it's just that I've accepted if I want to be a more influential player, then I'm sometimes going to have to give the ball away more. Before I used to, judge my performances on the mistakes that I made rather than the good things that I did. If I went through a game and I didn't necessarily create anything, but I made no mistakes, then I'd be quite comfortable and happy with that. It gets to a point that, it's only going to take you so far. It's quite a defensive mentality. Whereas the pass at Sheffield United or the bits that I did earlier in my career that are better is when you take a little bit of a risk. Granted, as a holding midfield player, there's only so much risk that you can take with the ball, but fortune favours the brave. I have to accept, I trust the players in front of me, that they're going to hold the ball up or do something with it, and maybe less forward passes come off, but when they do, they lead to creating a chance or a goal, so it is worth it. A quad injury sustained in pre-season kept Mitchell out until the start of December. He may have made 22 appearances since, but then looks set to miss out on the final two matches due to a calf problem, which saw him sit out Monday's 3-1 win over Norwich City. It's been a very mixed bag, said Mitchell. It was a very frustrating start with the injuries. I wasn't wholly pleased with how I played last season. There were some good bits and some not so good bits, and I was really keen to come back this pre-season and hit the ground running, and then I got hit with a quad injury, then another one, and it killed all my momentum, and that was quite tough to deal with. We had Chopper in at the start of the season, so I felt like I had a good chance of playing. I thought I did okay when I came back under him, but it was mostly coming on off the bench. It's quite hard for me to do. Anyway, because I'm not like Adomi and one of the most impactful players, I'm normally coming on to see the game out. So if you do, then you've done your job, and if you don't, then there's no real upside to it. Mitchell says the structure put in place by Harris's successor, Alex Neil, has helped simplify his role. He said, I would just say I have a very clear role in the team. I know that I'm sitting just off that left side of central midfield and typically playing slightly deeper than Casper, picking up one of the opposition central attacking players or screening the back four. When I get the ball, I know exactly where my forward pass is going to be because of the kind of structure that he's built. And we're going to have maybe a left winger, a right winger who's rolled inside, and a 10 on the left side of the pitch. It just makes my decision making so much easier and quicker. It's much easier to find those forward passes, because I haven't got to consider what options are ahead of me, and they're all in the right positions. From a defensive point of view, I just know what I've got to do, and I know what my job is and where I've got to land on the pitch. It kind of takes some sense that some of the thinking away. Then my job is, to just turn up physically and be able to at least run and do those things from a physical point of view. Game by game, we've had a good base and structure to work on and taking it from there. And once we get into the final third, Neil says, just go and express yourselves. And when you're feeling good, you don't care who you're playing against or what is on the line at stake. You just go out and play football. And you can just see the chance to get on the ball. Mitchell removed himself off social media a couple of years ago. Oh, there are always going to be people who back you and negative stuff. I just found you could have 100 positive comments and you could read one negative one, and it would stick in my mind there because I want to be liked, and everyone wants to be liked or seem to be doing well. But also, I found I could spend a lot of time being distracted on social media, not being present with my family and friends. I thought it was better to get rid of it, and I feel much better for it. Much more level in my emotions as well. Your head can get filled with a lot of stuff, and that's not helpful. You want to stay as level as possible. Indeed. Let's all get off the internet. It's just full of weirdos, isn't it? Especially the people who start YouTube channels. They are the worst of the worst. Absolute crackpots they are. Now, moving on to this. I probably should have had this earlier. It's another thing from Alex Neil and the southernnews.co.uk. That's certainly something we probably need to look into. Alex Neil discusses Mill's odd injury record. Yeah, what's that about? What's going on? What's going on here then? Alex Neil admitted Mill's mounting injury list was something we probably need to look into. Yeah, well, I would say certainly need to look into. But pointing to a number of previous injury-prone players who have stayed fit during this season. The Lions are currently without the services for several first-team players, including club record signing Camille Negley and starting goalkeeper Lucas Jensen, who is expected to miss a chunk of next season with a ruptured Achilles. However, Millwall have also benefited from the availability of Tanganga, Joe Bryan and Casper De Noor, who've made it 41, 44 and 49 appearances in all competitions respectively this season after struggling with injuries in the past. It's quite interesting because of the number of injuries we've had to contend with. We've also had some real success stories as well. Jaff being one, Neil said. Prior to coming here, he had a really poor injury record. Since he's come here, he's been pretty much available all the time. And Joe Bryan, is in a similar vein as well, in terms of how successful he's seen here has been in terms of availability, And Casper, he's another one. It's quite varied, which is odd because normally if you're going to accumulate a lot of injuries, you would think that the guys most susceptible to the injuries will pick them up. Whereas we've got guys who have been injury prone, if you like, in the past years, but this year they've been largely available, and that, that's certainly something we'll probably need to look into. Yeah, I guess maybe like when it's your time, it's your time. I guess. I don't know. But again, though, those players that have played, so Japhet Tanganga, Joe Bryan, and Casper De Noor, what would you say about them? That they don't get substituted; they play all the time. Maybe it's the substitutions that's doing it because you're coming on. Are they warming up properly? Even if they do warm up properly, it's probably not the best of things. You've been sitting on the bench for 60 minutes, so an hour. Get them in the change. Are they allowed to go in the changing room and just be on an exercise bike, just slowly moving their legs around? Obviously, I've seen that. Where do they do that? Is it cricket? They have exercise bikes on the side of the pitch. I've seen it somewhere. So yeah, do something like that. I guess there's not really any space. I'd imagine is there. And here's the thing: you've got this massive list of players on the injury on the bench. Is it 9 players now on the bench? You still can only warm 3 up at a time. You're only allowed to warm 3 up in the down the touchline. So there's that rule still in place. So you've got 3 players warming up on the touchline, and the other 6 have to sit on their ass. So yeah, maybe it's that. I don't know. It's very weird. And here we go again with Alex Neil. And again with Southern News. They're obsessed with the man. They're obsessed with him. Alex Neil praises ultimate professional Japhet Tanganga, unsure of Millwall defenders' thinking beyond this season. Alex Neil described Japhet Tanganga as the ultimate professional and admitted he was unsure of the defender's stance of staying at Millwall beyond this campaign. Tanganga, 26, has been a vital part of the Lions' defence in his first full season at the club, making 41 appearances in all competitions. He was rewarded for his form by winning a hat-trick of awards at the end of the season awards night on Tuesday evening, being voted Millwall Supporters Club Player of the Season, the Players Player of the Season, and the Junior Lions Player of the Season. Tanganga has always also been recognised for his form by the EFL, being nominated for Championship Player of the Month for November. Neil hopes Tanganga remains part of Mill's project heading into next season. Jaffet's played every game he's been available when I've been here. He's been ever present. He's a key member of our team. He knows what we can offer. He knows what we're trying to do, and he's at the forefront of that. What happens in the summer, at the moment, I'm not quite sure how that lands. I don't know what his views on it are. All we are focused on at the moment is winning the next game. As far as people staying, people leaving, people potentially getting bought, that's not been a topic of discussion in and around the training ground, and it certainly won't be until the season's over. He's the ultimate professional, Jav. After the game, he's pretty much nearly always the last to leave. Him and Wes go through the ritual that they have in terms of recovery. The minute the game's ended, he prepares as well as anybody. His performances throughout the game have been excellent, and hence the reason why, he's clean swept the Players of the Year awards. And he's been a real focal point of the team this season, and we're hopeful that he can try and put in another few performances like that in the remaining games. Well, almost certainly if we have George Evans a goal, we need Tanganga running on excellent form that he's had this season. But interesting here, so. I mentioned this in a video the other day about the contracts. Who's sorting out the new contracts? Is anyone doing anything about anything? Well, we have here a quote from the head coach. As far as people staying, as in new contracts, people leaving, as in no new contracts, people potentially getting bought, as in selling your assets, that's not been a topic of discussion in and around the training ground, and it certainly won't be until the season's over. So, what the hell is going on then? So they're not even. So they said. So Steve Gallen said in his interview, whenever it was, that once we know what league we're going to be in, then we'll start talking about the playoffs for extensions and new contracts. And the players that whose contracts are running out at the end of the season, they should just carry on playing as well as they have been, and there won't be any problems. It's all going to get sorted. So now it's been moved to when the season's over. So they're waiting. So again, is that they're waiting until the season's over, or the season's over? In that, at the moment, technically, we still have probably a 6% chance of getting in the playoffs, and then the chance of winning the playoffs. So realistically, we probably have a 3% chance, and right here, right now, of getting promoted. So until that's zero, they're not going to do anything about anything. Or does he mean? So if we lose on if we lose tomorrow against Swansea, are they going to then start talking about contracts? Or, if we win tomorrow and we're still technically able to get in the playoffs, does that mean the season's not over and then we carry on? You know what I mean? So, but again, we'll see how we go. But I mean, it's very weird, It's literally, we're being linked to players coming in. So, would be nice to know that the players that are here are going to be here next season. Not only that, but the guy who who's making the calendar for next season, they need to know what players do they put at the start of the year and the end of the year. So I think we're going to move on to previewing the game. That was all the news for today. We're not going to move on to previewing the game. And here we go. So we start off with the match mascots for tomorrow's game. It's your home game, last home game of the season. I believe it's Junior Takeover Day as well. I saw something about that today. Introducing Millwall Football Club's matchday mascots for Saturday Sky Bet Championship visit of Swansea City. Maxwell Blackmore. Maxwell is age 7, is a huge Millwall fan and season ticket holder. When he's not cheering on Millwall, he's on the pitch with his own team, Shelton Athletic, having found the back of the net over 20 times this season. Wow, sign him up. His favourite player is Jaffet Tanganga. Next we have Isabella Maloney. Isabella is 9, loves football, dance and drama, and she's excited to represent her club on Saturday. Her favourite player is Mihailo Ivanovic, and she's predicting a strong 2-0 win for the Lions. Next up is Stanley Cronk. He's 8 years old and he loves playing football, watching Millwall, gaming on his PlayStation with his friends, and spending time with his family. His favourite Millwall player is Jake Cooper, whilst he is predicting a 3-1 win for the Lions against Swansea. Next up we have Oliver Murphy. Oliver is celebrating his 10th birthday today. Happy birthday, Oliver. A huge football fan, Oliver's favourite player is Mihailo Ivanovic, and he's backing Millwall to come away with a 2-1 win this weekend. Next up, we have Teddy Rickard. Teddy is aged 9. He loves playing football and gaming in his spare time. His favourite Millwall player is Danny McNamara, and he's backing the Lions to win 2-1 this weekend. Next up, we have Byron McDonald. 9-year-old Byron McDonald loves his football. His favourite player is Danny McNamara, whilst he predicts a 2-1 win for the Lions this weekend. We hope you all have a wonderful day at the Den. Indeed. Now, Mill message board from millfc.co.uk. Another Mill message board has arrived. So, yeah. And we have in loving memory of Ivan Green. And we have a picture here. And you assume that, there's not much, very sparse on the details here, but you assume that he's the Millwall player there in this photograph, which looks to be at the Old Den. So, interesting. Ivan Green, don't really know that name, so I had to look into it. So I looked into it. So obviously, it's kind of a shame now that we don't have the match program that you would disseminate information about these kind of things, and you'll be able to publish a fair old bit. This is actually from Margate. This is from a website called MargateFootballClubHistory.com. It's about them. So he played for them. He played for Margate. Ivan Green, born 29th of July 1933, a winger. He played 16 times, scoring 6 goals for Margate in the 63-64 season. So just played one season. But they've actually got a pretty decent write-up of him. So it says Millwall and then it says 1-0. Well, what I believe that means is that he played for Millwall one time. He started one game and wasn't a substitute. So the 1 is the starting and the 0 is the not being a substitute. Then he left Millwall and he went to Hastings United, Canterbury City, Sittingbourne, Ashford Town, Dover, Deal Town, Gravesend and Northfleet, and Tunbridge Wells Rangers. So literally travelling all around Kent, the non-league Kent scene. A diminutive, ginger-haired Bexhill-born player with a busy style who made a single Football League appearance for Millwall during the 54-55 season before dropping into non-league football. Ivan initially joined Hastings and enjoyed a successful spell with the club. He was a top scorer during the 59-60 season. In the summer of 1960, Ivan signed for Canterbury and he scored 10 league goals in 34 appearances for City during the 60-61 campaign before moving on to Sittingbourne for the start of the 61-62 season. In the summer of 62, Ivan rejoined Hastings, but he was soon on the move again, and in September 1962, he signed for Ashford. Ivan scored 3 goals in 17 Southern League appearances for the Nuts and Bolts, and later in the 62-63 season, he had a short spell with Dover before moving to Margate in the summer of 1963. Ivan started the 63-64 season in excellent form. He made his debut on the 4th of the 9th, 1963, in the first leg of the Southern League Cup tie at Gravesend and Northfleet, and scored both goals in a 2-0 win. He performed the dance of joy after his second goal and scored twice more in the return game at Hartsdown Park on the 11th of the 9th, 1963. In total, Ivan scored 6 times before the end of September 1963, and one local press report called him Ivan the Terrible. Margate midfielder Dave Lang wrote about Ivan in the Thanet Times and said, "We Ivan Green, Margate's close season signing from Ashford, has begun his stay at Hartsdown in sparkling fashion. Already the home supporters have taken him to their hearts. His impish belligerency with hefty opponents, in particular tall goalkeepers, has stamped him as a real character." which, the photograph makes a bit more sense now. As in, he wasn't afraid to get stuck in, despite being a short ass. So far, his jousts with the mighty have seen him more often than not come out on top. Whatever anyone else may think of his play to date, the stocky redhead himself is amazed at the turn of events. He can hardly believe his emergence as a goalscorer. Davies' article also quoted Ivan as saying, "I can understand it. In my years of travelling around different clubs, I've never been looked on as a goalscorer, or even considered myself as one. Yet here I am with 5 in 3 games. I must be dreaming." Ivan's form dipped after his bright start, and in November 1963 was loaned back to Ashford for a month, making 5 Southern League appearances without scoring there. After returning to Hartsdown Park in December 1963, he found himself in the reserves for the majority of the remaining months of the season. Ivan became their leading scorer with 20 goals in 27 appearances, but he was released by Margate at the end of the campaign. In total, he made 16 first-team appearances and scored 6 times. Ivan joined Dill for the 64-65 season and was their top scorer during the campaign, bagging a hat-trick against Gravesend and Northfleet early in the season. He also hit another treble in a 7-2 home win over Barry on the 4th of December 1964, and thus became the first Dill player ever to score a hat-trick under floodlights at the Charles Sports Ground. The lights had been installed 3 months earlier. Ivan's next move took him to Gravesend and Northfleet early in the 65-66 season, and he scored 8 goals in 36 appearances for Fleet during the campaign. In the summer of 1966, Ivan joined Tunbridge Wells, where he spent the 1966-67 season. Ivan worked as a PE teacher during his time at Margate. So there you go. That's who Ivan Green is, or was, sadly passing away. So finding out more information, and we go here to millwallhistory.org.uk. This is just a little diversion before we go back to talking about the game tomorrow, the Swansea game. And you can see here, these are the games that season, and you can see the results and the scorers. Did pretty well that season. Apparently, we were 4th in the league, 5th in the league. In April, doing quite well apparently. Summers and Pacey, Pryor, scoring the goals. Obviously, this is way before my time. So, where is Ivan Green? Well, where is he? When did he play? Well, if we go down to this, we've got this card here, which gives you obviously the shirt numbers, because back in the day, the shirt numbers would change. Like the shirt numbers fit. Well, the shirt numbers didn't change; they stayed the same. The players that wore the shirt numbers changed because the shirt numbers designated the natural position on the pitch. And what we have here, we have Green. If you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players along the top, you can see Green. He wore the number 8 shirt, which is consistent with being a winger. And he played in the Shrewsbury home game. They won 2-0 on the 18th of September 1954. And that was his total appearances for Millwall. And this is where we finished in the league. We finished 5th, It's not a bad season. Obviously, back then, no playoffs. So, there you go. Ivan Green played once for Millwall. For Millwall's first team, shall we say. And so, sadly, passing away. I want to show you this book. You need to get this book. This is from victorpublishing.co.uk, and the book is called Mill's Who Who, edited by Neil Fissler with Dave Sullivan, Jim. I can't read it off of that. Jim Creasy and Chris Bethel. This is the definitive book. It's as it says here, essential publication of Mill fans. It profiles every player who's made a first-team appearance for the club since 1886. Have you ever wondered what happened to all those players that you've seen come and go over the years? Well, now you know, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read Ivan Green's entry in this book. Because I can't show you it, but obviously It says he was a forward in 1953-54. He played one game. He was born in Bexhill on the 29th of July 1933. It lists his career, and it says before Millwall, he's Portsmouth, Histon, Royal Engineers. He joined Millwall as an amateur, May 52, become professional in August 53, and then it mentions all the non-league clubs that he went on to play for, the full list. It says here, Ivan was at Portsmouth for 6 years and captained them at junior, B and A levels. Mill beat off competitions from Middlesbrough to sign him, but he could only make a single first-team appearance during his 3 seasons at the club and was released by Charlie Hewitt in 1955 after receiving an offer from Sittingbourne, but he joined Hastings instead. He worked as a games teacher in a private school. He went to London University for his teaching qualifications, and after spending over 20 years in Hastings, he moved to Bedhampton, where he was a supply teacher for over 2 decades. So, there you go. Ivan Green, in memory of. There you go. Now, pre-game. Player of the season presentations to take place pre-match on Saturday. Obviously, the men with no head, they've already been given the trophies at this thing. I assume that was just for photographs and they took them back, and they'll be giving them on before the game tomorrow. So yeah, Mill's 24-25 Player of the Season trophy presentations will take place on Saturday afternoon. The Lions take on Swansea City in the Sky Bet Championship on Saturday afternoon. With the likes of Jafet Tanganga, Kasper Denor and Milo Vanovic to be presented with their top 3 awards in the Mill Supporters Club Player of the Season vote from around 2:40 p.m. So you've got to get there early if you want to see this. Get to your seat around about 2:30. So Tanganga will also receive his Players Player of the Season and Junior Lions Player of the Season trophy. Well, be careful with that. He's hurt his hands, so he doesn't want to be carrying all that stuff. With Ivanovic picking up his Goal of the Season award too. Academy Player of the Season and Save of the Season, the Matija Sarkic award, will also be unveiled. Did we not? We already knew that though, wasn't it? The under-14 keeper with the Lithuanian name. Yes, they've already taken the pictures, so we already know. Now, that's before the game. After the game, obviously, they want you to stay off the pitch. Please stay off the pitch. This is, again, from Mill's official website, millfc.co.uk. Important matchday information, Swansea City visit. As we look ahead to what promises to be an exciting fixture against Swansea City on Saturday afternoon, we would like to remind all supporters of the importance of remaining in your seats at full time. With still so much to play for, the ground will be packed and the atmosphere is sure to be electric. At the final whistle, Alex Neil, his staff and the players are planning a lap of honour to thank you for your incredible support throughout the season. This moment can only happen if everyone stays in their seats and avoids entering the pitch. Please do not spoil the occasion for your fellow fans. Entering the field of play is a criminal offence and poses serious safety risks to players, officials, fellow supporters and staff. It can also cause damage to the pitch, which may be needed beyond this fixture. Obviously, we assume that that's for the playoffs, but obviously they have charity games taking place on the pitch. So, comme ci, comme ça. We urge all the supporters to play their part in keeping the day safe, respectful and memorable, help the club avoid any issues with governing bodies or potential fines, and above all, help us protect the safety and enjoyment of everyone inside the stadium. Thank you for your continued support, and we can't wait to see the Den rocking tomorrow. So there you go. You have been warned. Don't you dare go on that pitch. Don't you dare. Now, This is a weird one. So this is our record from against Swansea City at home, but it's also our record against Swansea Town, because they used to be called Swansea Town before they became Swansea City. And this is from 11v11.com. So what we have to do is we have to go here. This is the first game at the Den in 1921, 2nd of April. We lost 2-0. Later that year, second game, we drew. Got a bit better. Season after, but in the FA Cup, we won 4-0. Typical Millwall, we're known for our cup exploits. And then later on, we lose in the league 2-0. So, we don't have the best of record against Swansea Town until things change. Now, I don't know, I'm not a historian, but around about 1930, things seemed to change. And what happened in 1930, well, in 1929, there was a global crash. There was a stock market crash on Wall Street, and that reverberated around the world. And I assume that the price of commodities and such, probably coal, affected the Swansea area. They plummeted, and that affected Swansea quite severely. So you can see before 1930, at home. So from this game on, we're losing a load of times. And not only that, obviously, you would imagine that the quality of players that they can get, they like have industrial magnets and probably propping up the team, supporting the team, and they probably have like a load of minors to choose from. Not like when I say minors, I don't mean like under 16-year-olds. I mean big fuck off men who go down into the pits with a pickaxe and by hand chip away at coal seams and build their muscles up and their legs and their bodies. Obviously, it wasn't the best of jobs in terms of getting dust in your lungs and stuff like that. But, I would imagine that after a time there will be a point where you were physically a decent specimen, especially in terms of playing football. And that if you were any good, they would snap you out of that. And, it was highly sought after. Like, you either, if you dreamed of playing football for Swansea Town, so that you wouldn't have to go back down into the pits. I imagine they had quite a talent pool to choose from. And then we go down, and you can see that we lose in 1930, March 1930. Obviously, these things take time to work their way through. We lose 2-0 at home to them, and then we don't lose again for a bloody long time. Win. 1933, 1938, 1947 after the war, we drew. 1949 win. Obviously, by this time we're not in the same league because there's a massive gap between 1949 and 1966. 30th of April 1966, so similar to the date that we're at now. 1-0 win, Swansea Town. Then we go all the way up. So from, was it 66? Where is it? Here. So from 66, we don't play them again until 1984. And we're still winning. We're winning, we're drawing, we're winning, we're winning, we're drawing. And then something weird happens. Tony Blair comes in, devolution. They start sending English taxpayers' money off to Wales to, prop up their failing economy. And they start to have nice things built. They get a new ground. Cardiff gets a new ground and Millennium Stadium, all of that stuff. There's all kind of things getting built and such. Cardiff Airport, stuff like that. And that then attracts money to Swansea, and they get built up into a pretty decent team. They even have a spell in the Premiership. I'm not sure where it would lie on this. And they improve. They get better, and now, with the help of our taxpayers' money, they come to us and they beat us all the time. So, in fact, we've only won one game. This game here in 2023, March 2023, 2-1. All of the other games, so it will be this one. So the last game out was in September 2023. We lost 3-0. Then we got the win, and then we lose, we draw, we lose. Because, they've been able to invest in the team. Even to this day, they have the, Luka Modric. He's currently playing for Real Madrid. He has invested in Swansea City. He's bought a share in Swansea City. which is insane. But so this seems to be, the situation as it stands. At the moment, we are not doing too well against them at home. Away, is it probably worse? No? Oh, this is insane. So away, when we go to Swansea City, it's actually pretty good. Win 1-0, win 1-0, draw 2-2, draw 0-0, a loss and then a win. But at home against them, for some reason, since 2011, we have only won once in 7 games. So, yeah, what's that about? But, yeah, that doesn't sound too good, especially in a game that we need to win. This is the head-to-head from whoscored.com. And as you can see, as we've just seen, in last six games, 1 win for us, 1 draw and 4 wins for them. They've had a red card and 8 yellow cards, and we've had 7 yellow cards. In fact, in those 6 games, we've only scored 4 goals. And they have scored 11. Wow. If we go to the right-hand side, see the match facts. Swansea have won their last 5 matches. Great, fantastic. Swansea have won with a 1-goal margin in their last 3 matches in the Championship. Okay, well, isn't that how most teams win the games? With a 1-goal margin? Or maybe it's just because I'm a Millwall fan. We can only win games by 1-goal margins. So, this is the table as it stands at the moment. Let's expand that and look. Obviously, there is a game going on at the moment while I'm recording. Is it still going on? No, it would have been finished by now. I lost track of time. So Sheffield United beat Stoke 2-0, which hasn't been updated in this table for some reason. That's kind of weird, but whatever. They're not going anywhere anyway, Sheffield United. They're staying where they are. They can't go up to second and they can't fall down to fourth. So if we do end up finishing 6th place, we'll be playing Sheffield United, which could be good because I think they're bottling it. But as it stands, we're in 8th on 63 points. They are in 11th with 60 points. And again, there is a 3-goal difference on the goal difference. We're on -1, they're on -4. So, if we get absolutely smashed tomorrow, they could go above us. And our season would be over. They couldn't make the playoffs, we couldn't make the playoffs. But, yeah. But look at this form. So they've won 5 games in a row, which in this league is insane, because not a lot of teams are putting wins together. In fact, the only teams whose form looks like their form are the 2 teams at the top of the table, Leeds and Burnley. It is insane. Obviously, they have a new manager, I believe, who's came in some point through the season. So, yeah. Again, now bizarrely, well not bizarrely, but they've only drawn 9 games. We've drawn 12. So they seem to either win or lose. And at the moment it's mostly winning. So let's get rid of this. Obviously, I would imagine at the moment they are the form team. Now you would imagine, well, they've won 5 in a row. What are the chances of them winning 6 in a row? Well, it can't be that high. It's like if you roll dice. If you roll a dice and you get a 6, what are the chances you're going to roll the dice again and get a 6? If you do that once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, instead of thinking, wow, like, I'm really lucky, I would be looking at the dice and thinking, this has got to be a fake dice. Like, this is something wrong with this dice. You would imagine that this winning run can't continue for that long. So maybe we have a chance tomorrow. Maybe we do. Obviously, in the last 6 games, they are first in the form table. We are 4th. So we're not that far behind in terms of the league form table. And that's us having lost 2, but we have won 4 games. And that's what you need to do in this league. You need to win the games to get you up the table. And if you do that, that's how it works. So they've won 5, drawn 1, lost 0. They've scored 10 goals. They've conceded 3. But let's have a look and see who they actually did this against. So this one is the most recent one. And this one is further away. So away at Leeds 2-2. Well, that's a pretty good result. Although we went up to Leeds and beat them, but whatever. Home to Derby 1-0. Home to Plymouth 3-0. Away to Sunderland 1-0. Okay. But Sunderland, their form's been a bit shaky because they've guaranteed their player place as well. Home to Hull 1-0. Away to Queen's Park Rangers 2-1. So they seem to be beating the teams at the bottom of the table. But they did beat Sunderland and they did draw Leeds. So what can you take from that? If we go to... So we're at home. This is our home form. We're 12th in the home table. We've won 11 at home, drawn 4, lost 7. We've scored 26 goals in 22 games, which has improved, and we've only conceded 19. Now, how are they away? They, as an away team, so look at this. Now, this looks different now. When you take out their home games, their form looks like this. They have won their last 2 away games, which was at Sunderland and QPR. But before that, it was the draw at Leeds. They lost away at Watford. They drew away at Preston. And they lost away at Stoke. So there you go. Okay. So they've won 7, drawn 4, lost 11. So again, they've lost more away games than they've won. So that's interesting. So before they won these 2 games, they were on 5 away wins. And they lose these to make their record look more respectable. Or they win these to make it look more respectable. But in terms of, basically, they've scored 18 away goals and they've conceded 31. So pretty similar to us, really. In our away form, we scored 19, conceded 27. Okay. So let's do that. And let's do that. So obviously our last home games, we beat Norwich 3-1. We kept 2 clean sheets against Middlesbrough and Stoke. Again, who's in goal tomorrow? Can we still keep a clean sheet? I'm not too sure about that. We only failed to score against Bristol City, so we do score at home. Yeah, we do score at home. Scored in every game. Scored 2 against Portsmouth, scored 3 against Norwich, so there are goals in the team now that we're playing 2 up front. I don't think we played 2 up front against Bristol City. I think that was before, the revelation. So Swansea's away record. They kept a clean sheet at Sunderland. They kept a clean sheet at Preston. They failed to score against Watford and they failed to score against Preston. So they do score goals. Okay. Strengths and weaknesses there. So they have a lot of weaknesses. Aerial duels, stopping opponents from creating chances and avoiding individual errors. Cool. So, let's get on to the prediction then. What do they think the score's going to be? So let's scroll down. Okay. Prediction. In-form striker Mihajlo Ivanovic bagged a brace on Easter Monday as a strong first-half display set Millwall up for a 3-1 win against a free-falling Norwich side. After that result, the Lions are a factor in the playoff race heading into the final 2 league fixtures, and they have won 4 of their previous 5 fixtures heading into game week 45. Unfortunately for Alex Neil, his visitors are also in equally strong form. Swansea survived a late comeback attempt from QPR to seal a 2-1 win away at Loftus Road on Easter Monday. Alan Sheehan is impressing during his time as interim manager. Also, they haven't even got a permanent manager, he's just filling in. And the Welsh club travelled to London looking for a 6th successive championship triumph. Yes. So, they say Millwall 1, Swansea 1. That would be a kicker, wouldn't it? You know, if we to draw the game. Obviously, I think we need to win. So that would be a kicker. That would be really bad, especially if we were in the lead and they pulled it back. If we were losing and then we come back and and we have chances to make it 2-1, but we just miss out, that probably would be better, but still, that wouldn't be good. So let's move on to this from sportsmole.co.uk. Obviously, that they got a lot. Obviously, for time, we're over an hour now, so I'm just going to skip down to their prediction and what they think the game is going to be. They got a picture of Liam Roberts, but it's just to say that they think he's ruled out for injury. Again, will he play? I don't know. So they say Millwall 2, Swansea 1. Both teams will carry significant momentum into the weekend following their recent fine run of results, but with home advantage in their favour, we think that the Lions will do enough to edge out Swansea and claim their 5th consecutive victory at the Den. I think it depends who's in goal, really. I mean, you know, they managed to keep Norwich quiet, kept them down to 4 shots, 1 on target, and that was from, the set piece. Can they do that against Swansea again? I don't know. Like I said before, I think, you know, if however many shots they get on target, most of them are going in. Sad to say, but you know, that's the reality of the situation. You know, I'm not digging the kid out, but you know, that's what it is. So it depends. You know, is Liam Roberts going to go in goal? Are we going to get an emergency loan keeper in? How's that going to work if we do get one in and he comes in? I don't know. But so let's assume that George Evans is in goal. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be bad. I think, you know, they can score goals. They know how to score goals, and I think obviously that they realise that you know, the goalkeeper is going to be the weakest link. And you need to get shots on target, and that's all you need to do. And try and you know, maybe that'll work out for them. And so on that note, typically the teams in the Championship would probably have about, I would say, 12 shots, and maybe 5 or 6 of them would be on target. Maybe less than that. With our good defending, you keep that down to maybe 10 and maybe 3 or 4. So on that, if that's the case and George Evans is in goal, you've got to think they're going to score 2 or 3 goals, and then it's a case of, can we outscore them? And I don't think we can. Yeah. So I'm going to have to. I think it's going to be Millwall 1, Swansea 3. That's my prediction if George Evans is in goal. If it's another keeper, who knows? But I mean, so yeah, sad to say, I think it all comes crashing down right now in tomorrow's game. So yeah, on that note, thank you for watching, and goodbye.